Some new, very soothing countdown music. I like it. We are here Wednesday night. Small group is present and ready. Awesome. Everybody else, when you get here, just give us a little shout out that you are here. But this is Wednesday night. We are Brookridge and friends, and we are going to get into Romans. Helen is here. She must not be in small group. Or maybe she is. And she's just giving us another viewer. Either way, glad you're here, Helen. All right, so found a list for you of, we said, some challenging customers. But here's the deal. The comedian Bill Engvall used to do a bit back in the day called "What's Your Sign?" or "Here's Your Sign," when somebody would ask a silly question like, "Hey, got a flat tire, huh?" It's like, no, the other three just swelled up. Here's your sign. So these are kind of more here's your sign moments than challenging customers, but people sometimes ask the silliest questions. So this is not us judging. This is just us appreciating what people have asked. So here we go. If I order 2 pancakes, how many will I get? Oh, man. I just think there's a lady in front of me asked if she could pay cash. There is no space left for them to say, no, you cannot pay with cash. How big is your 12-inch pizza? Come on. Lady wanted popcorn at the concession stand. Would you like butter on your popcorn? I think so. You mean that movie theater type butter, right? No, I'm just going to take a stick of butter and throw it on top. Yes, movie theater popcorn and butter. All right. Lady asked me why we'd stopped and are not moving anywhere because it was a very quiet sea. To the air hostess halfway over the Atlantic. If you stop while you're in a plane, you die. Not a great question. Master Spicer's here. AJ's here. Hey, AJ. Welcome to Subway. How long is the foot-long sandwich? Well, it's 1 foot long. Yes, I'd like 1 foot-long sandwich, but how big is it? I just can't. Man signed up for an Advantage card, and they asked for his email. And he's like, no, I have a Gmail. I don't know what an email is. Okay, sir, I think that's gonna work. And I love the closing comments. Honestly, if anyone wants to know what retail is like on a daily basis, this is it. Lady was looking at frozen turkeys, couldn't find one big enough. Do these turkeys get any bigger? No, ma'am, they're dead. I had a customer ask what type of fish the filet mignon is. That's a recurring theme on this list. Or, hey, would anyone like to start with a shrimp cocktail? No, thanks. I don't drink. Girl asked which coffee was larger, the medium or the light. I get that Starbucks has messed things up with their weird size names that you can't really tell, like a grande and a venti and a tall. Like which one is which? I mean, I know, but all right. But anyway, medium and large, you should be able to tell between. Lady ordered blue cheese on her salad and then complained that the blue cheese was moldy and then demanded to speak to the manager. Okay, Karen, you go speak to the manager. Customer ordered a dozen chicken wings, medium rare. Okay. All right, how about a side of salmonella with that? Customer asked what kind of cheese is in the mozzarella sticks. That's too much. All right. Want the boneless wings? Would you like them mild or hot? So which one of the two is the hottest? I don't even know what to say. How many pieces come in a 2-piece? What's bigger, a 6-ounce fillet or an 8-ounce fillet? You cannot make this stuff up. Hey, Mom. What is the lait touche? And that's lettuce. Oh, that's funny. Had a guest order the baked Parmesan shrimp, and then they realized they're allergic to the little shrimp. Okay, I just need the jumbo shrimp. I'm not allergic to those. Sure you aren't. What's the difference between a half portion and a full portion? About half. Yeah. How's the BLT? Well, about as good as a BLT gets. Well, I'm allergic to bacon. You know what? probably not going to be that great for you then. Your total comes to $32.23, sir. I only have $20. Can I still have it? No, you can't. This is great. If you can see this, someone actually left an Amazon review. They bought happy birthday letters. Absolutely gutted. It's like Dear Diary. I've just sat and blown up all the letters to find out the D is missing, but it's been replaced with an extra A. It's my daughter's birthday tomorrow, and now I won't be able to decorate as planned. Not happy at all. Hey, Karen, look at the A in the happy. Pretty sure that's their upside down D that you're looking for. Man, y'all don't know how to treat customers. It's why you all losing money. I'm going to Lowe's. They were yelling at customer service at Lowe's. When guests asked what's in the seafood stew, they're like, oh, I'm allergic to seafood. You asked about seafood stew. All right. What's an Arnold Palmer? Half tea, half lemonade. Which one goes in first? Does it matter? Let's see. Customer complaint the axe they bought was too sharp. Nobody needs an axe that sharp. Okay. Customer orders a garden salad and it doesn't have cheese on it. And they say, when's the last time you've seen a garden salad with no cheese? And the waiter smartly responds, when's the last time you've seen cheese in a garden? I'm pretty sure their tip was not going to be very big. Someone walked into Dunkin' Donuts. Do you sell donuts? Nope, I can't. I just can't. I can't. This is all right. Hey, AT&T, I need my information off my old phone. Okay, where is it? At the bottom of a lake. What's the difference between 6 and 12 chicken wings? Just can't. What Arby's? What kind of cheese comes on the beef and cheddar? These actually, I used to think those critical thinking exercises in school were dumb, but apparently people need them. How would you like your steak done? Well, I want it cooked well, but not well done. Just well. Okay. I've heard of this happening a lot. Coke Zero, please. When they drink it, oh, this is Diet Coke. I asked for Coke Zero. They grab their Coke Zero, go to the back, wait a minute, bring the exact drink back. And they're like, oh, now this is a Coke Zero. Oh, man. Again, can I have the filet mignon? Yes. Would you like that cooked medium? Oh, I thought the filet was fish. Straight fries or curly fries? What's the difference? Just can't. Working in hospitality, customer complained that her milkshake had milk in it. Would you like super salad? Maybe. Is there an upcharge for the super salad? Yes, there is. Just heard a customer 2 aisles over say, hey, I think this is that special glass that doesn't shatter when you drop it, followed by the sound of shattering glass. I think the closest I ever came to breaking down at work is when I had a customer who wanted the ice in their drink to stay at the bottom of the glass. I couldn't understand why I kept telling them that wasn't possible. I don't understand where these people come from. Lady ordered a pancake and after she could get that on a plate. Like, would you like that in a bowl or do you want the kitchen to just frisbee it out to you? Another confusion with Arnold Palmer, iced tea and lemonade. That sounds good. Can I get it without the iced tea? So you just want a lemonade? No, I want the Arnold Palmer, just like I said. It's like ordering the cheeseburger without cheese. So you want a hamburger? No, I want the cheeseburger without cheese. Oh boy. Remake the drink because it looks too watery. Took it out back, brought him the same one. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, it is. Customer that hole punched his credit card's chip out because he didn't want a chip and then didn't understand why the transaction couldn't be processed. You get rid of the chip. Here you go. Lady calls in, wants steam cleaning for her tile floors, but refuses to give her address. Instead, demanding that you do it at your location. And then hung up when she tried to explain that her floors were attached to her house. I just can't. Putting in a price tag. Is that the price? Yes. Is it on sale? No. Is there a special discount? Well, no that you ask. You just unlock the super secret discount. It costs nothing if you don't buy it and just leave. Today's been a nightmare. Let's see. I just had a woman complain she didn't like her number 6 shaped cake as it looks like an upside down nut. I just cannot with people. All right. I'd like a cappuccino, no chocolate on top, no foam, and no milk. So you'd like a black coffee? No, I only like cappuccino. I want a cappuccino. Give some black coffee. Perfect. I don't understand why you had to be so difficult about it. Just had a 20-minute conversation explaining to a customer what chicken wings were. Did you say they were wings from a chicken? Didn't work. Customer yelled because he didn't believe that 33 cents 3 times was about $1 and not $3. Don't. This one I thought was funny. Do you lemonade? Do we do lemonade? Yes, I was told that you do that here. Sorry, this is a graphics and print shop. I know that. I'm not an idiot. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Look, if you can't lemonade these papers for me, I'll go somewhere else. I think the word you're looking for is laminate. I just had to remake a man's nasty foot-long sub 3 times because I cut it into fourths instead of just half, and it wouldn't fill him up if you had to eat it in fourths. What is wrong with people? I don't understand. This. None of those should have been any of you, I feel like. Right. Anyhow, we are in Romans chapter 12. I just can't with people sometimes. So, we're talking about one of everybody's favorite subjects, love. That's why many of you love Hallmark Christmas movies. You know who you are. Some of the guys even get in on it. You watch these things even though you know that the plot is literally always entirely completely the same. Will she choose the slick guy from the big city or the unassuming flannel-wearing guy from the small town who has a penchant for Woody Banner and turns out in the final scene of the movie to be Santa Claus's nephew and heir to the North Pole or something like that? You need your Christmas movie fix, and that's because we just love love. You're just addicted to love. Well, here in Romans chapter 12, starting in verse 9, Paul is going to give us a glimpse into what true love is. Not so much romantic love, although what we will learn will certainly have implications for that, but the kind of love the gospel creates in a community. That's what Paul's talking about. What is it that makes Christians love each other? What attracts them to each other? What makes followers of Jesus love each other? Jesus said himself, the single most defining characteristic of his church and his people should be its love. Your love for each other, he told his disciples, is how the world will recognize that you belong to me. At the end of the day, what convinces the world that the truth of the gospel is true, that the gospel is true, is not our defense of the faith. It's our love for each other. Listen, God does not need us to defend him. The Bible does not need us to defend it. We should be able to give an answer of the hope that's in us, but never does God ask us to defend him or defend his word. What convinces the world of the truth of the gospel is our love for each other. Francis Schaeffer said, love on display in the church is Jesus' final apologetic to the world. I really think if we were doing this, outreach would get a lot easier. We wouldn't need great music or special services to attract people to our church. People would be beating the doors down to get into a group of people who really treated each other well and laid down their lives for each other. So what does that love look like? And where does it come from? So we'll look at verses 9 through 13 first, which we'll look at this week and next, and that as our love toward our friends. And then verses 14 to 21, which we'll pick up in 2 weeks, is about love toward our enemies. You can all look forward to that. But we're going to talk about 6 characteristics of gospel-shaped love or gospel-shaped friendship. As we go through these, it's important to keep in mind that everything Paul says in Romans 12 and everything from here on out in Romans is his explanation of what a life lived in response to the gospel looked like. Remember, chapters 1 through 11, what is the gospel? Chapters 12 through 16, what is a life lived in response to the gospel supposed to look like? And he started this whole section, if you remember, in verse 1, therefore, in light of the mercies of God, this is what your lives should look like. So Only the gospel can produce this kind of love. So let's look at this. We're going to look at a few verses tonight. Number one, characteristic of love. Our love should be without hypocrisy. So verse 9, Paul says, let love be genuine, which means without hypocrisy. It means sincere. Churches can be places where there's really phony love, where everybody seems nice on the outside, warm, polite, helpful, but then underneath that veneer is a bunch of hearts that are full of backbiting, jealousy, gossiping, and hatred. You've probably felt it before. That Southern phrase, which sounds great but really isn't, when they say bless their heart, it really means what I just said is really mean, but I'm going to make it polite by seasoning it with like, hey, that woman is a snake, bless her heart. you can't just say stuff like bless your heart or with all due respect and then say whatever you want. Or maybe you've been around people in the church who love to gossip in the form of prayer requests. Yeah, I know something about Denise we need to really be praying about together. Maybe you've experienced that. Maybe it really turned you off, or you know someone who it has turned them off. Some of Jesus' strongest words in the Gospels were about people like that, and he called them whitewashed tombs, beautiful on the outside, but full of death on the inside. Not the way you want Jesus to describe you. And the closer you get to somebody's heart, the more you sense that. No amount of politeness or pleasantness of personality can cover what's rotting on the inside. That's what love with hypocrisy is like. Paul said, our love should be different. It should be genuine. It should be love all the way down to the core. Easy thing to say, right? But sometimes people are difficult to love. They have flaws, annoying flaws that hurt you. So how can love be without hypocrisy when people annoy you, hurt you, and some of them you just don't like very much? Well, that's where Romans 12:1 kicks in. That's why Paul said, therefore, in light of God's mercies, the gospel enables you to love somebody despite their flaws because it puts you in touch with the tenderness of God for you. Several Sundays ago, we reviewed the story of Matthew 18 about the man who was forgiven the 10,000 talents. And the gist was this: the king had the servant who owed him 10,000 talents. The ginormous size of this amount gets lost on us, but it's illuminated by the fact that King Herod, the incredibly wealthy king of Israel, had a yearly income of 900 talents. This was an incalculable debt, like $1 gazillion. So the king threatens to sell this guy, sell his family to pay the debt. And this is what verse 26 says. You won't see it on your screen, but trust me, this is in Matthew chapter 26. So condemns him. At this, the servant fell face down before him, said, be patient with me. I'll pay you everything. Wasn't going to happen. Then the master of that servant had compassion, released him, forgave him the loan. Awesome. That forgiveness, says John Piper, is as spectacular as the size of the debt. And that's the point. Jesus wants us to realize that sin is an incalculable debt that we could never pay back. No amount of contrition, no amount of good works can repay the debt of dishonor that we've heaped on God through our sin. But the servant in Jesus' story didn't receive the forgiveness for what it was, the stunning, breathtaking, undeserved act of mercy. Jesus never even records the man saying thank you. And so, even more incredibly, guy walks out of the courtroom, encounters a man who owes him 100 denarii, like a couple months' wages. In the grand scheme of what he had just been forgiven of, just a small amount. Not still a debt. We talked about this in our forgiveness message. It's still a debt, but it wasn't anything compared to what he had been forgiven of. He seizes this guy, begins to choke him out, saying, pay me what you owe. The man pleads for patience for him. Servant will show none, puts him in prison until he can pay the debt. King hears about it, legitimately angry, brings the first guy back in, says, you wicked servant, I forgave you all that debt because you begged me. Shouldn't you also have had mercy on your fellow servant as I had mercy on you? And because he was angry, Jesus says in the story in Matthew chapter 18, he handed him over to the jailers until he could pay everything that was owed. Jesus' conclusion goes right to the heart. So also my heavenly Father will do to you unless every one of you forgives his brother or sister from your heart. John Piper also said the point of this parable is that God has no obligation to save a person who claims to be his disciple if you have not received the gift of forgiveness for what it really is: infinitely precious, amazing, undeserved, heart humbling, mercy awakening. If we claim to be forgiven by Jesus, but there is no sweetness of forgiveness or patience or love in our hearts for other people, God's forgiveness is simply not there in our heart. That's tough. People that have been moved by the gospel, people that have been really, truly affected and changed by the gospel, have a sweetness in worship. There's a recognition in their worship of how much they owe to God. They don't come in waiting to see how good the musicians are. They come in ready to worship. So we need to stop pretending and start repenting. Jesus can't help you until you expose the wickedness of your heart to him. Jesus can't help the fake you. A real Jesus died on a real cross for the real you. And it's only when you expose the real you to him and admit you've got some deadness in there rotting in your heart that he can help you. And that translates into a tenderness toward others. We recognize how much we've been loved despite our flaws and how much we've been forgiven of. So what do you do when you feel like your love has hypocrisy in it? Do you just throw away politeness and act out whatever you're feeling? Just be rude to each other? No. Here's what you do. You choose to act in love. You choose to be kind and polite even when you don't feel like it, all the while repenting of your hateful, unkind heart, asking God to change it and pressing more deeply into the mercies of God for you. And then live in a posture of repentance before God, constantly asking God to change you, constantly pressing in on how much God has loved you, remembering that you'll never be asked to be more patient with somebody else than God has been with you. Say that again. You will never be asked to be more patient with somebody else than God has been with you. You'll never be asked to forgive anyone else of more than what God has forgiven you of. Big deal. All right. So that's the first thing. Love should be genuine without hypocrisy. Here's number 2. Our love should be grounded in God's truth. So the second half of verse 9 says, abhor or detest evil, hold fast or cling to what is good. Abhor or detest evil, hold fast or cling to what is good. Again, we're in Romans 12 tonight. Love has to be grounded in God's truth, because we recognize that love that is not grounded in God's truth is ultimately not really love at all. Here's why that's important. When you care about someone, your sense of right and wrong can get thrown off because you really want them to be happy. So when you see them doing something that you know is wrong, but it seems to be making them happy, the natural inclination is you don't really want to say anything because you don't want to make them upset. That's not a sign of love. That's a lack of love. You ever seen a parent who's too weak to discipline their child even when it's necessary? They don't want to bear the tears and the anger of their kids, so they cave into them, give the kids whatever they want, even though that's not good for the child. When they do that, it's not that they love their kid too much, it's that they love them too little. They love being liked by their child more than they love their child. A parent who won't go through with the pains of discipline and correction ultimately don't love their kids too much. They love their kids too little. It's a hard truth. Same thing applies to our relationships in the church. We have to love each other enough to tell each other the truth, because love that is not based in truth is ultimately not love at all. The word detest that Paul uses here, abhor or detest what is evil, it literally means be horrified. Recognize evil for the corrupting power that it is. Be horrified by it. Cling to that which is good. Hold fast literally means glue yourself inseparably to it, as if you're clinging onto it for dear life. You want to know what somebody that's following Jesus is? A sign of love that comes from the gospel? It means you are horrified by evil, and it means you're clinging on to what is good for dear life. A love that won't warn against the dangers of evil ultimately is not love. When you won't tell the truth to someone, what's motivating you is not your love for them, but a selfish desire to be loved. You're afraid of losing their affection more than you love them. You love their comfort more than the well-being of their souls. Jesus loved us enough to tell us the truth, even when it made us so mad we killed him for it. Love like that. All right. And finally, last one for tonight. Our love should feel like family. This is verse 10. Love one another with brotherly affection, or love one another deeply. Some translations say as brothers and sisters. And that's it. There's some short verses tonight, but there's two Greek words here in the sentence. There's love one another deeply, the first part of it. It's philostorge. It's two words for love. Phileo is love between friends, and then storge is the word for affection. It's like saying love, love. And do this as brothers and sisters. That word is Philadelphia. Shout out Jonathan. Deeply as brothers and sisters. So love one another deeply as brothers and sisters. The love at work within the body of Christ should resemble the love at work in the nuclear family. Maybe you're thinking, man, I had a jacked up family. So read this through the lens of a healthy family. In a healthy family, if your sibling develops a problem, you don't give up on them. If your parents become needy in their old age, you don't say, well, I just don't have space for them in my life. No, you rearrange your life to take care of them, even if that means they move in with you. If your kid causes problems at school or starts to develop an annoying character trait, you don't call them in and say, hey, listen, sorry, just not working out for you to be here anymore. It's not you, it's us. Security's here to escort you out. Maybe you'd be tempted to do that, but you don't do it. No, you're devoted to them. Even with their faults, they're family. In a family, the problems experienced by one family member become the problems of every family member. Love in the family doesn't even need to be reciprocal. If you love your child and they don't love you back, you don't stop loving them. C.S. Lewis says, love is never wasted, for its value does not rest upon reciprocity. It's constant. It just never changes. This is what the body of Christ should be like. So the community of Jesus, the church of Jesus, should be like. Honest question. Is that how you compare your commitment to the body of Christ, to the church? Maybe it's like a local rec softball team to you. You enjoy it. You give it some of your energy, but it's one night a week. It's pretty low on your list of priorities. Maybe it's like your commitment to the new season of The Voice. At the beginning of the season, you're into it, but if the singers aren't your favorite, or you don't like the decisions the judges are making, or you experience the first pangs of boredom, you just change the channel. Maybe it's like a free trial of some streaming service. You sign up for your 2-week trial. You actually like some of what you're getting, but you keep switching between 8 different email addresses because you don't really want to join and get financially invested. But the reality is, the church is supposed to be like a family. Jesus gave his life for the church to be a family, not an event you attend, but a family you belong to, where you get committed, where you lock the door behind you. Your relationship to the church should be like family, where you show up for family dinner, not because you like what's on the menu, but because it's your family. By the way, leaving a church and going to a new one should be a serious, serious decision, because you're not just changing channels. You're leaving a family and joining another. I'm not saying there's never a time to do it, but those people that are floating around between churches, like changing channels based on what you're in the mood for, that is far from what God intended. Whatever church that God has led you to, wherever God leads you to be as your church community, it should be like family. The love that comes from the gospel causes us to love one another deeply as brothers and sisters. So we'll do some more in a week, the other 3. But remember, love should be genuine, sincere, not with hypocrisy. Our love should be grounded in truth, and our love should feel like family. And that's what Paul gave us in Romans chapter 12. Hope you're enjoying Romans, and hope you're enjoying our community, our extended community. We're praying this week for you. We're praying for our network churches. We love our Granite United. We love our Bay State. And I appreciate the fact that we get to do this together. It's really important. So we're finishing out our We Are Brookridge series at Brookridge this Sunday, and then moving into Philippians the week after. There's going to be another Brian Spicer sighting in March, so look forward to that. But we are, I'm grateful to be able to do this with you. Small group, hope you have some good discussion. The rest of you, those of you who are shooting over to Bay State for more Titus with Pastor Brian Spicer, enjoy that. Those of you who are going to bed, Enjoy that too. Have a great night.